This is the Tigers Postcast, your instant game reaction for the Detroit Tigers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
And oh my goodness, one of the crazier, more wild games of the season, and fired up to tell you all about it. Everything you need to know about the Tigers' wild win over the New York Yankees, 12-2, the final. Welcome into a live Locked On Tigers postcast. I am your host, Jake Riepma. You can follow me on Twitter at Jake_Riepma. Somebody's going to have to help me explain what happened in that seventh inning. The Tigers go off for 9 runs. We will discuss every single one of them. And hey, Casey Mize looked pretty good as well. And oh, by the way, Chris Paddock with a 3-out save. That's all on the docket as well. Of course, your comments are welcome. Want you to be a part of tonight's show. So fire up that comment section. And oh, yes, we'll have our biggest talking point, which I think we all know what that will be. Our biggest turning point. Yes, probably one of the same there. And our player of the game. So buckle up, dial it in. This is the live Locked On Tigers postcast. As a reminder, if you haven't yet, make sure you subscribe to the channel, which, by the way, what are you waiting for if you haven't yet subscribed? Because where else are you going to find a fun post-game show after a wild win like the Locked On Tigers Network? Your team each and every day, free and available wherever you get your podcast. Make sure you check out The Daily Show with Scott Bentley as well. I see the comments coming in, and I feel the same way. On top of one of the more memorable games of the season, you're doing it not only against the New York Yankees, but at Yankee Stadium, and the boos, the Bronx boos. Jason Benetti said it on the broadcast, which, by the way, happy birthday to Jason Benetti. Always a nice little birthday present there for Jason Benetti for the Tigers to go off. But they said it on the telecast that it's nice to hear the Bronx boos when you're the team that's inflicting said boos. So much to get into tonight, but we begin where we always begin, our biggest talking point. But before we do that, how about we all say hello to perhaps a new audience that could be joining us, because this is one of those nights where we are not only live on Locked On Tigers, but also Locked On MLB and the Locked On Sports channel. So come one, come all, and let's talk some Detroit Tigers baseball, starting with our biggest talking point.
This is what you'll be talking about.
Now, I will cheat a little bit on this because there's a couple of big talking points with this one, but the biggest one, the absolute biggest takeaway, of course, is scoring 9 runs in that 7th inning, sending 9 batters to the plate before an out was even recorded. The Tigers hadn't done that since 2012. Insane stuff that you saw tonight. And Jason Benetti mentioned it. There's got to be a full moon or a black cat or something somewhere that would, appropriately deem this one of those wild summer, late summer, early fall nights in the Bronx. So that being said, hey, you go up and down this roster, and as I'm watching it unfold, I'm sure other people had the same feeling where you're just thinking, okay, keep the next guy up, keep the lineup moving, one batter after another. And oh my goodness, then the Yankees start self-inflicting with wild pitches and just a lack of, I would just say aura. I know that's what the kids say, but just zero enthusiasm or the ability to look like a functioning ball club for the New York Yankees. And we've had those nights. We have definitely had those nights, but tonight it was the men wearing pinstripes. So that top of the 7th began with a Riley Green ground rule double. Torkelson draws a walk. Wenzel Perez draws a walk. And then you got Parker Meadows to start the scoring with the single, which, by the way, so great to see Parker Meadows back in the lineup, of course, when this was actually a game, which should also be noted that this was a 2-2 game entering said crazy 7th inning. And the Yankees in the top of the 6th, or the bottom of the 6th rather, had 2 men on and nobody out. So just crazy the way baseball works. But what a game for Parker Meadows as well. Dylan Dingler then draws a bases loaded walk, and you feel for a guy like Cruz, because it's just got to feel helpless on the mound at that time, where he just has no idea where the ball is going. They bring in Leiter Jr. Sweeney gets the single. Perez scores. And then Colt Keith gets hit by the pitch. You get a couple of wild pitches thrown in there. Gleyber Torres walks Sweeney and then moves up on the wild pitch. And then you knew there was going to be a big hit in there somewhere. And said big hit was Kerry Carpenter's triple to left that scored Colt Keith as well. And again, the inning went on and on and on, but you get the idea. It's just an insane offensive explosion where you have the snowball effect where one guy onto the next. And when this Tigers team is at their best, which, by the way, what a difference an off day makes, because Sunday's episode, I was beside myself, which if you're with us on that, you know exactly how I felt after the Tigers lost 2 of 3 to the White Sox, which put them below 500 post All-Star break, but back to 500. And based on what happens in the Blue Jays Astros series, you could be looking at the Tigers having the best record in the American League before the week is over. So all that to say is, hey, baseball's a crazy game, one day to the next. I'll try not to get so emotional when crazy things happen, for better or for worse, but at the same time, that's kind of what makes this what it is. Am I right? So anyways, that being said, also Casey Mize, certainly worth the discussion tonight. I wanted to get this in because I think Casey Mize is quite literally auditioning for the opportunity to pitch in the postseason. He was left off the postseason roster last year. He's had a resounding comeback year, and it's been frustrating at times. I think we can all agree there, but you look at the numbers, and all of a sudden he gets the win tonight. And I know they're just wins. That's not the most important statistic in pitching, but 14 wins is 14 wins. The Tigers have won 10 of the last 14 games Casey Mize has started. So there's certainly an element of productive pitching there, as well as, yes, there's been some, I don't want to call it luck, but some outings that he's had the substantial run support and things of that kind that have kind of aided him earning as many wins as he has. But not to take anything away from Casey Mize, we've had this discussion at length, is who is that Tigers second starter in the postseason, second and third starter for that matter, behind Tarek Skubal. And Casey Mize certainly put forth a quality start tonight to give himself the opportunity to be considered as one of the postseason starters. All right, let's get into the comments, because this is your show as well. I want to hear what you have to say after that crazy game at Yankee Stadium, and the Tigers win big over the New York Yankees. Brit Brett 99 is up first. That was absolutely insane. Agreed. Rich P says, great game by Parker. Fun to see the offense show great patience and kept passing the baton. Strong outing by Mize. Great start to the road trip. Padlock, our new closer. Yeah, it was. And I mentioned that. And Chris Paddock's been through a lot. I mentioned that with the bereavement and, you know, the tough time that he was going through. Is neat to see him back out there, and albeit in a low stakes environment, low leverage environment, still a 3-inning save. So good for him. Amber says that 9th inning was insane. 7th inning, but yes, 9 runs, 1 inning. What a game. Meadows home run. That's right. Her favorite player is Parker Meadows. So there you go. Guy Merritt says, wow. And I was concerned about our pitching. Yanks pitching was abysmal. Indeed, it was. Gareth says that was a wild game against the Bronx Bombers. Indeed, it was. Jason Walter calling for Chris Paddock, the closer. Yeah, I can't read tone on the comments, guys, but I'm just going to assume there's an element of sarcasm there. Rufus T. Cat is up next. Guess they were not kidding when they said the Yanks have bullpen issues. Indeed, but Yanks have a lot of issues, and I know they've been calling for Aaron Boone's head there for a long time, and it's just I don't think he's the guy to blame. Easy for me to say. He's not the manager of my team, but that was, if I'm a Yankees fan, that is, which I'm not, obviously. Detroit roots. I even got my Detroit roots hoodie on today. And if everybody watching on YouTube there, if you're listening, sorry, you just picture it in your head, the Detroit roots hoodie. Okay, Robert Then Dubin says this team is so Jekyll and Hyde lately. Indeed, it is. It's a roller coaster, a lot of ups, a lot of downs. But as Braylon Dennis says, so much fun watching the Stankies implode. I thought our bullpen was trash. LOL. Yeah, guys, we're all on the same page after a wild one tonight. Let's keep it rolling, keep it moving. We'll keep the lights on Locked On first, but don't go anywhere because we still have to get into our turning point and our player of the game. So let me hear your votes for player of the game in the comments back in just a second on the Locked On Tigers postcast. Hey, this episode of the Locked On Tigers postcast is brought to you by our good friends over at Game Time. There's nothing quite like catching a baseball game live. The energy, the crowd, the chance to see your team in person. And you know what? If you were there tonight, maybe on the road trip, there's something about being a visiting fan in a new ballpark as well. But all of that's great, but how about actually getting tickets? That's the tough part. Queues, login screens, surprise fees. Takes all the fun out of it. And that's why I use Game Time, the app that gives you the advantage and gives the advantage back to fans. Game Time is fast, easy, and backed by the Game Time guarantee. You'll always get 100% authentic tickets delivered on time and at the best price. Plus, all the fees are included, so the price you see is the price you pay. And guys, that is my favorite part. Nothing worse than going to check out thinking you got a great deal and then fee after fee after fee. Not with Game Time. The price you see is the price you pay. And how about zone deals? You pick the section, Game Time picks the seats, and you save big. So download the Game Time app, create an account, use that code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms to apply, but use that promo code LOCKEDONMLB, LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. Download Game Time today. This episode of the Locked On Tigers postcast is also brought to you by our good friends at Monarch Money. Most people can't name all their financial accounts or even what they're worth, whether it's 401ks, properties, or investments. And when you don't have the full picture, you can end up leaving money on the table. That's why there's Monarch Money. It's an all-in-one personal finance tool that brings your entire financial life together in one clean, easy-to-use interface on your laptop or on your phone. Monarch is built for people with busy lives like you and me. If you put off organizing your finances, now is the time, and Monarch is for you. Monarch does all the heavy lifting for you, and you can link all your accounts in minutes, see clear data, visuals, and get smart categorization of your spending so you know where that money is going, and finally feel in control of your money without ever touching a spreadsheet, which is great because I hate Excel. And oh, by the way, Microsoft Excel. I like excelling, if you will. Don't forget to maximize those investments by increasing your awareness and your savings rate. All of that done with Monarch. So don't let financial opportunities slip through the cracks. Use code LOCKEDONMLB at monarchmoney.com in your browser for half off your first year. That's 50% off your first year at monarchmoney.com with code LOCKEDONMLB. We're cruising right along on a live Locked On Tigers postcast after a 12-2 win to open the series in New York against the Bronx Bombers. Not too much bombing done by the Bronx Bombers tonight. Tigers take the first game of the series and we'll go for a series win tomorrow. Before we get into tomorrow's pitchers, how about tonight's turning point? Let's do that right now. It's the turning point.
Time to reveal where the game was won or lost. It's the turning point.
I will give anybody $1 if they can guess tonight's turning point. I kid. Of course, the turning point was from the bottom of the sixth inning into the top of the seventh. So let's break it down real quick. Bottom of the sixth, rather. The Yankees have two men on and nobody out. They go with the bunt, then a strikeout. And then on 3-0 with Aaron Judge in the on-deck circle, the swing. And Casey Mize body language said it all. He was grateful that the batter swung on 3-0 in the bottom of the sixth inning to essentially wipe out what could have been a really, really difficult time for the Tigers. And to get out of that was huge, absolutely huge. And I apologize, that was in the bottom of the fifth, but you get the idea. So Jazz Chisholm singled, and then you got Wells singling, 2 on, and Volpe fouls out, followed by the strikeout, and then the fly out to center. So Grisham made a really nice catch on one of the outfield plays, taking a home run away from Sweeney tonight, but at the plate, just very ill-advised to swing there. And then from there, the Tigers go on and rattle off 9 runs in the 7th inning. We went through them all, but you get the idea. You score 9 runs in an inning, that's going to be your turning point. How about the player of the game?
This is the Locked On Player of the Game.
It's got to be Parker Meadows, and the boost and the lift he provided tonight, and does so, having him back in the lineup, is so critical for this team. Benetti even mentioned it tonight that we had a similar feel in a September game against the Padres last year when he hit that grand slam. That was such a lift for this Tigers team. But tonight, he has the home run. He has 3 RBI, the RBI single as well, the 4th home run of the season for Parker Meadows, and just great to see him contributing to this offense. We know the defense he can play, and it's so impressive the way that he has stepped in and been a valuable asset for this team. Also give a little shout out, honorable mention to Casey Mize, like we did earlier in the program, because another quality start from Casey Mize, his 14th win of the season. All very, very impressive stuff. So that being said, Tigers and Yankees will do it all again tomorrow. Looking forward to that. It's a 7:05 first pitch from Yankee Stadium. You got Jack Flaherty on the bump for the Tigers, Carlos Rodon for the Yankees. Good pitching matchup. Flaherty 7-13 on the season, 4.85 ERA, 171 strikeouts. Rodon 16-7. Wow, 16 wins, 3.12 ERA, 180 strikeouts. So all that to say, hey, it's one game, but this felt really, really good. Felt really good. And there's nothing wrong with saying that, especially with how bad that homestand was, losing 2 out of 3 to the Mets and 2 out of 3 to the White Sox to go just 2-4 on the homestand when the Tigers have played so well at Comerica Park throughout the course of this season. Tonight was really, really welcomed, especially bouncing back after the off day. So looking forward to running it back with everybody tomorrow. Until then, make sure you check out the Daily Show with Scott Bentley. Continue to like every video. That helps us out a great deal with the old YouTube algorithm. Check out all the shows that we've got for you on Locked On, and over on Locked On MLB. You can check out Locked On MLB Game Night. And once again, it's all Tigers tonight in a wild game with a 12-2 win over the New York Yankees that included a 9-run 7th inning. So thanks so much. My name is Jake Rietman. You can follow me on Twitter at Jake_Rietman. Tigers with the win. And with the win, it's their 83rd of the season. So they moved to 83-62. And as I mentioned, keep an eye on that Astros Blue Jays series, because when it's all said and done over the course of the next few days, the Tigers could have the best record in the American League. But we know it's so important that the Tigers need to at least lock up a top 2 seed in the postseason so that they're not playing in that opening round against a wild card team. So appreciate everybody tuning in. Have a great night, and let's do it again tomorrow. Hopefully the same result. Thanks. See you.